New fave.
Hey! So, our tea for today is lemon allspice, and it's so good.
Yeah,
It's my
fall.
theme.
I'm just gonna...
That's the most Caucasian thing, but is that rude? No, educating below.
So this episode is off to a great start, clearly. We're fine.
We're thriving, actually. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
So today our topic is
Tea is
focus.
being spilled already. Physically, actually.
Okay.
Today we're focusing on education. Nice to meet you. Hello.
We are. Yeah.
Subscribe below if you want to see more of this. Because I love being a fool of myself on what are we on? Who knows?
We
Anyway,
love making a fool of ourselves for, you know,
For your enjoyment.
That's
for
what
your
it is.
enjoyment. That's all we're here for.
So our first thing, right, because we're going to have a topic for each episode, as we mentioned on our first episode. So this main topic,
education.
Yes,
all
ma'am.
its aspects. And then,
good or bad?
I mean,
sis.
are there good?
That's
Is
all.
there?
So we have a few
Debatable.
subtopics we wanted to kind of like just touch on. Be like, so in this episode, we're going to talk about da 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 da. So we've got dress code, school safety,
Oh yeah.
the American education system, and just like the online aspect of school, how it's changed so much over the course of like 20 years.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
anyone have some strong opinions we want to start off with?
So, for
I'm
dress code. For dress code, like I understand sort of why it's in place and why like schools need to have rules just to like protect themselves, because when you think about school, you can sort of think of it as like a business in a way.
Yeah. That's,
Mm-hmm.
Like it's become a business at this point. It's not like about the children. It's not a charity or anything. It's a business.
Yeah.
So like they need to cover themselves in every aspect they can.
Yeah.
But I also don't think it's okay to like send, cause okay, so I went and read a student handbook, and I was looking at the dress code of it.
Research.
I did some research, and I looked at the dress code of it, and it said that you could be sent home, like you could be suspended
Yeah.
for your dress code.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is not okay. Like, ask me to change, fine, but send me home.
Like
Like,
that's
that's
in a
insane.
change. Have you seen like those like my school actually is pretty good about it in high school, at least. In middle school, I got dress code for just having a bra strap out and like things like that. But like I've seen like posts online where they have like this like almost shirt of like shame. That's like absolutely weird. Where it's like
yeah,
I
it's
got
like
dress
I
code.
got dress coded, and it's like,
Yeah, or they say
are you shaming this 12-year-old girl?
That's insane.
No, it's more if that's a distraction. That's a look into the difference of. Like if literally shoulders, what in the
No, I saw this
Not
post of a
sexy.
girl who just wore like an
No,
off-shoulder
not
shirt, like it didn't
cute.
show any cleavage. It was like up to here and just showed her shoulders, and she got dress coded. And I was
Yeah.
like, if shoulders are sexy, then that's a different conversation
Yeah.
you need to have with
Yeah.
someone else.
I mean,
honestly.
And the thing is though that like even so as I mentioned before, my school's pretty good with it, but there was a one time where like a teacher had made a comment where this girl had put back on her sweatshirt or jacket or whatever, and the teacher went up to her and was like, "Oh, thank you for putting that back on." First of all, you're thanking someone for putting on a jacket. Okay.
it's a little.
Like, and then that's not, I mean, I may be
Thank you
chill.
for being warm.
Yeah, you know, but then it was like, then she made, I wasn't there, I wasn't, all full disclosure, I wasn't there, I don't know the full story exactly, but she was like basically told, oh, thank you for like putting away your shoulders, right? And so she posted about it, and so the entire school then responded with, and like everyone was freaking out, well like the women especially, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So then the next day, me being the problematic petty person I am, I wore like a shirt that, you know, had just the shoulders cut out. I didn't do it, like I didn't like actually went in, but I had a shirt that had just, you know, the shoulders cut out.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, you wanna, let's go. You know, like that kind of idea.
Just swear up, kid.
Yeah. I'll tear more off. But what about you?
In my personal experience, I have never been dress coded.
Really?
Not
Wow.
once. Not middle school, high
That's
school.
insane.
I've never been dress coded.
Relate.
Yeah, you're like,
Like,
props take two.
And it's, I mean, like,
doing?
I wear tank tops and shorts to school and stuff. Like, my mom has always been like, okay, Jamie, like, because I love fashion. Like, I love expressing myself through clothing.
Yeah,
so I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
And so like I'm wearing a crop top right now, but I'm also super short. I'm 5'1". That's a major aspect of my personality. As any of my friends.
But her attitude makes up for it.
She has a really big personality.
She has a 6-foot personality.
That's the best thing I've ever heard. But like, crop tops on me aren't always cropped, and so I've never really had an issue because like I can always roll up my pants more. Like I don't have a lot of like
Yeah.
you know
Space.
yeah, I don't have a lot of space for that to be shown. But like my school is pretty good as well. Like we in our dress code section in our student handbook, it mainly says like as long as you are not like physically hurting yourself or others, or I mean it says being like a distraction in class,
Yeah.
but that varies. So like nobody really gets dress coded at our school because everyone kind of knows the rules, and as long as you're not being like whoa or like hurting anyone or like
promoting spikes.
promoting like weed or anything,
Yeah, like
then
drugs and
you're
alcohol.
fine. And then one of my teachers actually said something about dress codes. He's a guy, I think he's a history teacher or something, but he was like, girls, I will never dress code you because the first thing you're gonna say is, why were you looking?
Yeah.
And so it's like,
Dang.
oh.
He has a good point though.
You know
Yeah,
what's a funny story? It's a side point, but one time I was in a movie theater, and you know how movie theaters have chocolate, as one does. Don't worry about it. I may have tangents, but it connects in the end.
It's all just like, it goes back
So,
to
they have chocolate. All right, I was eating some. I was indulging. Sue me, all right? Don't actually sue us. We may not be able to afford it. However, we could if you subscribe below, so we can get, yeah, okay.
Red
Anyway. All right, so anyway, I sat on said chocolate because I dropped it.
Oh no.
Oh goodness.
All right.
I know where this is.
It got on said pants, just as the tea had got. I don't handle
It's
things
just
well.
foods, you know? Sometimes they're slippery and you're like, well.
So I got up, I walked out, no one said anything, but then I was walking out with my friends, and this guy was like, well, one of my guy friends was like, oh, well, you have chocolate, and I'm like, on your butt. I'm like, okay, bless you. And then the other guy was like, well, then why are you looking? And I'm like, good point, valid point. I may have chocolate on my butt, but look at you. What you doing over there? Like, it's like, I don't.
Yeah.
Anyways, continue.
It's just kind of like, I mean, yes, just like looking at like Corinna, for example. Like I see a blue shirt and like black pants, and it's like, I see certain things. It's like, you know, it's like if you look at someone from behind, you might see their butt because it's a part of your body that's
Yeah.
constantly there.
Yeah.
So like I
It
understand
could
that part.
disappear.
And I hate it when I lose my butt. That's just so weird.
So I noticed also in a lot of dress codes, or at least in the one that I looked at, it was talking about like short length and dress length and
Yeah, with
skirt
like
length.
the arm.
And it says like the arm length thing, and that brings up the point with the height again. Like
Yeah.
if you're taller and you have
Yeah.
longer arms, or like
Yeah.
everything like that. And so one of the principals at one of our schools went shopping with his daughter,
Yeah.
who was of like a few grades younger than I was at that point.
Yeah.
And he realized that they could
Yeah.
not find shorts that went down to fingertip length.
No, they don't
And I was like,
exist.
Yeah.
like they don't exist, and if they do, they're not fashionable. Like,
Okay,
sorry, but
They're like the grandma, they're
Yeah.
like the loose grandma cargo shorts, and you're like, I'm gonna go on a hike.
Well, the thing is, I'm not even fashion oriented, and I know y'all are kind of more that way. But even I can tell it's not cute. And if that's saying something, if I am the person who's walking around with A, chocolate on my butt, B, tea on my pants, and I can tell.
Something is being said
But
there.
yeah, it's like it's mostly like I understand that they need to have those in place to again keep themselves covered. But
Right.
it's mostly just the fact that you can like pull people out of class, send people home.
Oh, no.
And the thing is,
And
No.
it said in the student handbook that they could give you short or long-term suspension for like a
You're-
dress code. And
you're
I was like,
taking-
that's insane.
and the thing is, these mainly happen to girls. I'm
Yes.
sure guys get dress coded,
But only for like swears on their shirt.
but
or
I've
something.
never.
Oh, no.
I've
Dress
never.
codes are really sexist.
They're
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
female
Yeah.
oriented. Like I'm sure that it happens to men.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like this is mainly oriented towards women.
Mhm.
And by saying that you are distracting, it's
Yeah.
saying that a male's or like education is more important than yours. So we're gonna
Yeah.
take you out of class because you're
Right.
being a distraction. And this
And
horny-
half of the
this horny
distractions.
teenage
Yeah.
boy
Yeah.
can't control his urges, and it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
oh,
Yeah, and again, like it's just basic things like that, or just, and not even there's a dress code by the school, but then there's people where it's like I've been told by my other students. Like women, it's like it's a different thing for someone, like a woman, to be like, okay, pull up your shirt. If you like,
Right.
yeah, I understand. Which that's just someone trying to help you out and whatnot. But like with like other guys, if they start making, like I've gotten yelled at in the hallways, like not even kidding. Like it was like
catcalls in the hallway.
well, yeah, and it's like we'll talk about that a little bit later on with different sexist stuff. But like it was like again with social media, I had posted something about. Oh god, I think it was about the wage gap, and then I was walking down the hallways and guys would like scream at me and like be like, it's not real or whatever, and like say, well, you can actually show like the statistic. There's actually research.
That's another episode. So
Yeah, stay tuned.
That's just
But
like
Jessica's though.
one quick thing I want to just like sprinkle in there. As a rebuttal for the dress code, I totally see like why schools do it because as you said, it's kind of a business. Like we spend 8 hours a day there. It is kind of our job, and so it's not necessarily a professional aspect.
Yeah.
But like you can't walk in wearing a bikini top. Like there is a limit, and it's just understanding where that line is in like your professional.
Exactly. So it's also like the
area.
student's job to understand. Like you can't wear shorts that show too much.
I don't want to see your butt
cheeks.
cheeks.
Yeah. You can't wear a top that shows too
but
much.
I may not.
So it goes both ways, but it's mostly just the fact that they can suspend you like long term.
Yeah.
It was more just the like shocking part to me.
Terrible.
No,
But it's also
I was so picked on for the
Really?
dress code. No, I was like I was like their personal target.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
so bad, and like I got to the point where you guys put those shirts, but they're kind of like poofy, like here they're tight, and they have like that little like kind of triangle like in the back, and then their sleeves.
Yeah.
Everyone wore them, and I, without fail, anytime I wore that, I would always get sent to the office. Like it was
That's
just the administrative
insane.
though. It was like they had it out for me, and it was like honestly, I was so miserable, and it made me really self-conscious.
One time I wore like leggings under my shorts because I knew that they were too short. So I was like, okay, like if I wear leggings, it'll be fine. No, I still got dress coded.
You couldn't even see any skin.
I know.
Yeah,
And I was like,
happened to me.
and I was like, that's completely insane. The fact that I'm wearing leggings, which most girls wear now, without shorts on top of them.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
it's-
I couldn't wear leggings to school. They told me I couldn't wear leggings because they showed like they were too tight on my body. I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
literally everyone is wearing leggings.
That's insane.
So it's the same thing as administration. A lot of administrations, as we were talking about, is the job of keeping us in check, but also keeping us safe, right?
Yeah.
And that's another thing that we are going to talk about in this episode, right?
Yeah.
I have one thing. Can I just say one thing real quick?
No.
Let's go for it.
One of my friends' dads was like, I want you to be able to wear whatever you want. I feel like that should be a thing. But like there are men who will not be able to understand like I don't know how to phrase this properly, but like like you should be able to wear what you want, but boys will not always be able to control themselves. And it's just kind of like wow, that's really powerful. Like we should be able to, but we can't always because it is going to not always be safe for us because it might, in like extreme cases, it does lead to rape. And they're like, oh, I mean, like she was wearing like a thong. It's
She
fine.
was
And
asking for it.
it's like,
We'll get on.
again, that's another episode.
That's another.
Do we want it?
They all kind of mush together in the end.
We have a lot of topics.
We have a lot of teams.
But
So-
like Anna was saying,
And again, like speaking of like how school has turned into a business, that's kind of not okay for me because like I think that because they're not really trying to make money if you think about it. Like we don't really pay necessarily to go
Unless
to
you're
like
like
a
a
private.
Unless
Right.
you're private.
Yeah, unless it's a private school, but like for public school you don't necessarily pay to go to school itself. You pay for like the ASB fee or like to pay to play sports or things like that. And so like and at this point it's become not about the kids and it's
It's the
all about
reputation.
there,
She just had a seizure.
in English, we did slam poetry, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm passionate about so many things. What do I want to write this about? So I wrote it about everything I see in the world that I want to change, that I feel like as a 16-year-old 5'1" kid in high school, I'm like, where do I have the power? Like, I'm tiny, what can I do? And then it's like,
Jump.
jump for those goals, let's go!
Sure. That's the right sport. They go together. It's fine.
No,
And
but
then like, jump for whatever. It's fine. But I was saying like,
I'm sorry. You're fine.
it was like, the American education system should be based on learning. A student's learning should be the most important part, and it shouldn't be based on a grade. Like if you get a C, you know 75% of the information that was on the test. You know the majority.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
You
like,
should be proud of yourself.
There's still more that
Yeah.
you can learn, but like you
always
When
have
are we
to learn.
ever gonna learn
a
everything?
vast
there is?
majority
Yeah.
of it. So like
Why
that
is
is not
C?
that's not average. And I love like it's like Sweden or Denmark or some country. Honestly,
Probably Sweden.
remind me, educate me, because I'm not entirely positive. But it's like one of those countries has like the best education system because like failing for them is like a 25%. It's like you didn't put in the effort. But it's like at 50%, you
Like-
put in something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
You
how do
tried.
you call that failure?
Yeah.
Personal opinion.
Yeah.
Like it's flipping a coin if you wanted heads and you got tails. Like that's not a failure.
That's not a
no.
fail.
So it's
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
With like the distraction element too, right? With like the whole interruption.
Mhm.
Safety also shouldn't interrupt, right? Because like I know
Yeah.
I have been personally with things like lockdowns and safety
Yes.
concerns. I had my first lockdown in 3rd grade
Mhm.
in elementary school where someone thought a guy had a gun on campus. But
In
it
an
was like
elementary school?
in elementary school, and I remember you're stuck in the lunchroom with the lights off and like things. That was my first time in elementary school, and
It's
I had
scary.
3 more times in middle school. One was a bomb threat, one was a specific shooting threat, and another was another bomb threat. And we had lost so much time. And the thing is, like, they found the first person who did it because the first person did it through social media, which is
That happened at my school.
so dumb.
They like threatened to like shoot up the school, obviously.
Yeah, I had that like on social media.
Yeah, but they
It's
also
common.
threatened to like go for specific people first. And
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah, that's
oh
what they
my
got.
gosh.
People like they just put up teachers. They're like, oh, we're gonna like it's.
Oh my gosh.
It's disgusting, and the second time they put like a letter behind a whiteboard, and so that was harder to trace because instead of, it was typed, so they went as far as like the news county where it's like, okay, we want everyone to check your computer's most recent font. That's how it got to, because they had, it was typed font letter out, right? So they were like,
Wow.
you're gonna look on your font and see who most, that and person was
And-
never found.
That traces back to like technology in schools because we have all this technology right at our fingertips.
Yeah.
There are so many more
Yeah.
resources. My school currently, we were picked up by the Seattle Times because, I think it was Seattle Times, because at an assembly, people were changing their Wi-Fi hotspot names to things like yell chicken nugget if you want me to shoot up the school, or like
That's
or like
insane.
yell
Okay.
so and so if you want me to shoot up the school.
It's
or
not
bomb
funny.
the stupid
It's
assembly.
like-
and it's like
People die. It's
No,
not.
it's a real thing. It's not a
Exactly.
joke.
17 people died in Parkland, and people are joking about it. Like, we had a walkout for it last year, right?
Yeah.
And people were selling like things like MAGA hats, like selling them on
hurts my
purpose.
heart.
That's insane.
It's like if someone's
So
life has a
sensitive.
monetary value to you, and do you
Yeah.
think it's funny? Where
Yeah.
it's like, I get offensive humor, whatever, but that's crossing the line. Like,
There
that's
is a line
absolutely-
with offensive humor.
Yeah.
and you need to know where that is before you even tread that way. And things like,
Yeah.
and I had a meeting, we just had a lockdown where I was in, it was before school, and I was in, and this is in high school, so describe, like, elementary, middle school is one thing, but in high school too, it's more serious, because people actually have weapons at
There are
school.
high schoolers
Yeah.
that could actually
It's
have
possible,
access
you
to
can
their
see
pets.
it, and the thing is, us as students, we know it, because it's not hard to tell, which is so awful, and
It
that,
goes through the back of your head. It's like walking into school. I'm like, what if
Like, how
I
do
got
these people-
shot today?
Yeah.
And
What
that
would you
should.
do?
Exactly.
that
I have to say I love you to my mom and my dad before I leave every day, because like
What if I don't come back?
Yeah.
You don't know, and the thing is, so I was stuck in the room where my twin sister was outside the school because she was going into school, but I was just in there already because I was doing something before school. It was to a point where my sister, if I didn't text her back every like second, she thought I was like dead. And that is
Yeah.
absolutely, without using strong language, messed up in every way, because my sister had to go through that and I was in there. I was like,
Yeah.
someone next to me was crying and I had to try to help her, and there was, rather than police helicopters, there were news helicopters,
Yeah.
like trying to get the shot. And
And
it's like,
that's a problem.
Yeah.
Well, that's
If
not okay.
I saw something that was like, what if instead of like broadcasting the shooter's face or like whoever's face so they get the recognition, what if like it was just the number in America? It was like shooter number 437
Yeah.
is
That would be
because then it doesn't
absolutely
give
insane.
them the recognition
That
that
they
they're
were
want.
for.
I mean, it like every situation varies, and it's. I think personally, one of the first two steps that absolutely need to be made thanks for your thoughts and prayers. Start doing something about it.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
gun control. I've written about our senators are in Washington State are Maria Cantwell and Patty Murray, and all 10 of our representatives are Susan DelBene, Rick Larson, Jamie Herrera Butler, Dan Newhouse, Kathy McMaris Rogers, Derek Kilmer, Pramila Jayapal, Kim Schreier, Adam Smith, and Dennis Heck. And their contact information is on the web. If you look them up, you will find their email addresses. I am currently on like our senators' email list. I am on like their call list because it was for net neutrality last year, and I was pissed about that. But that's a different story.
That's
But like,
another different. Oh goodness.
it's honestly such an issue because thanks for your thoughts and prayers, but that's not going to do anything
It's
about
not
it.
gonna change it.
We need stricter gun laws. Like we have the Second Amendment, and I think you can respect that, and
Yeah.
I think you can respect your Second Amendment rights, but
But
also
also
have the
Limits.
like have
Yeah.
the limits.
And
And
the
if
country has grown and adapted so
Yeah.
much since that came to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
So we need to like
and if,
adapt
exactly.
as a country.
if you are a gun owner or like gun promoter, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you have nothing to be guilty for, why don't you support
Mhm.
gun
The thing is,
control
I
as
understand
well to keep it
people-
out of the hands of dangerous
Yeah.
people. who
People
want
grow
to
up
cause
with
harm.
guns too.
Yeah.
Like children, like I didn't grow up with guns personally, so I don't have these
Neither.
perspectives. I know for a lot of my friends, like that's what they grew up doing. That was like a relationship they did with their grandfather or their father or something like that. And so I realized how guns can sometimes be some sort of a connection like that. And we're not saying, okay, we're gonna take away everything you already
No,
have.
absolutely
Yeah.
not.
It's just about prevention, because these people, it gets so easy to get
Yeah.
things like, bump stocks and, AKs, which honestly, I don't see much of a reason sometimes for, because why would you need a military gun for just like, it's just,
To protect your house.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. And like I know that where I live there was a shooting last year in September and someone died. It was like very local, it was very hard for all of us. Like all the schools in the area were on lockdown. It was
Yeah.
like the worst thing ever, and it's because almost none of the schools where I live have like secure entrances,
Mhm.
which means that like they have to go through the office and like sign in and everything in order
Yeah.
to get into the school.
Mhm.
And so like I feel like that's another step we could take is just like
Yeah.
remodeling just like the front of a school so they have secure entrances and like can so we know who's
Yeah,
going
my
in
middle
and out of
school has it now, my middle
Yeah.
school, but my high school doesn't.
My high school has signs all over. It's like you cannot use this entrance. You need to
Yeah.
check in with main office. And
But that's still like even at my high school like
Mhm.
I've walked in there so many times without even like a second look because we have portables outside.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
our school isn't big enough so we
Yeah.
like have an overload sort of thing and so like even just like walking into like the main high school like from a portable it's so easy. And like I get it because it's during school hours and it should be easy and we
Yeah.
only have 5 minutes.
We
in
shouldn't
class,
need
and,
to make it hard to get into a school.
Yeah.
No.
But it's still
Like-
like but it's
No.
still like the fact that I can just walk in there if
Yeah.
I wasn't. And if they know the schedule, like they could just walk in with the students and no
Yeah.
one would give a second look.
Yeah.
It's
And
terrifying.
the thing
We
is,
shouldn't have to think about this.
We shouldn't-
School is for education, and
you
the fact that
you shouldn't be afraid of getting shot at
Yeah.
school.
Yeah, I
Just
know.
personal
Yeah, it's
idea.
it shouldn't be a concern, but it's
But,
really
like,
sad that it is.
Two of the last main shootings, it was Parkland
Yeah.
and one of the other ones. The thing that happened was the fire alarm was pulled, so everyone was brought
Yeah.
to this one spot
Long space.
and then mowed down.
yeah.
And so for my school, I feel like my school's really good and I really appreciate that, but there's still so much we can do. But whenever our fire alarm goes off, students sit where they are and they stay until someone comes up on and they're like, yes, this is a fire, you need to get out of the building. Or
Wow,
or they're like we have an officer on campus and so he
Right.
goes to where it is and it's like, is this actually a fire? What's the deal?
That's a
We
good
will not
idea.
send you all
That's really
outside unless we know there is a physical
That's so
danger in the
cool.
building because we don't want a danger coming out in,
That's
you know?
so cool.
That's a good, because my school has 2,500 kids plus.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
So
a lot.
it's,
Hefty.
people, and the thing is, our fire alarm went off it went off around 5 times within 2 months because people would pull it because they didn't want to go to do their tests.
Love that.
And also, if you didn't know, that cost the school money.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Lots and lots and lots of money for
Because
a
they like
false fire
actually
thing.
have to send fire trucks.
Well,
out.
yeah, and the thing is, my
Yeah.
friend has a sound sensitivity, and so when the fire alarms go off, it paralyzes him, and he can't I don't know exactly all the specifics
Yeah.
because but having to figure out making sure he's okay and things like that, because otherwise if it's a drill, he's warned ahead of time, and obviously if it's a real fire, is necessary.
Yeah.
But if it's some just like jerk trying to get out of class,
Then like, I don't want to take the test.
You
Yeah,
still have
which-
to make
okay.
it up.
yeah, it's like
That kind of brings up another thing with the system is like so many people hate school these days, and I feel like it's
they do
because
anything.
yeah, but like I feel like it's because we aren't given enough choices inside of school. Like I know that at the school I go to, you only get 2 electives.
Really?
It's just like, and some
Wow.
is required. Like you have
Yeah.
to take PE, you have to
Wow.
take a foreign
Mhm.
language, and it's like I feel like I'm not given enough opportunity to like
Yeah.
find out what I want to do for a career, so I don't have to
Yeah.
like spend millions of dollars on college to like figure that out.
The American education system is just to touch on, because we didn't really get a chance to,
Yeah.
is so messed up. We should be so honored and like excited and like it's such a privilege to have such access to an education.
Yeah, and we do.
So why
we
is
really
our
are.
mindset and why is like the idea around it, like it's not, you know, like geared towards us anymore,
Yeah.
which is such an issue
And
because it's so, it's
I know for
such a good
me,
thing.
it's mostly just because I feel like I'm not learning what I want to learn, or I'm just like learning the same thing over
Yeah,
and over and over
yeah.
again, or it's like not hands-on enough. Like I sit in a classroom, I learn a lecture, and then I'm just like expected to know it, and I don't get anything to do
Yeah.
like hands-on, and it's just so many things to do about the system.
Yes.
So thanks for seeing our opinions.
Yeah.